Food research should be taken with a grain of salt. The science behind it is less certain than you might think. Over the past 5 decades, millions of Americans have made changes in their eating habits because often conflicting studies have found health benefits from various diets and foods. Some Americans have cut fat from their diets while increasing consumption of sugary foods. Others have spurned carbohydrates while gorging on protein. Still others have stopped eating staples of the past like grains, dairy, meat, and potatoes while gobbling up kale, blueberries, soy milk, and other supposed superfoods. Are people any healthier as a result? It isn't clear. Food research is among the most challenging in all of health. Rather than the gold standard of randomized trials where participants are randomly assigned to different diets, nutrition research mainly relies on observational studies where Americans must report what they ate. The problem is that many people can't remember what they ate the previous day. Others don't want to fess up to how much they ate. People eat diets of enormous complexity, even if they don't seem that way. The variation of one person from day to day is greater than the difference from one person to another, and you can't lock people up for years, feed them defined diets, and see what happens. Researchers use observational techniques, comparing one group to another, animal studies and lab studies, hoping that the results are consistent. What this means is that the results of nutrition research require interpretation, and interpretation depends on who is doing it. Various other confounding factors further complicate food research. For example, people going on low-fat diets with increased fruits, vegetables, and grains sometimes decide on their own to stop taking statin drugs to reduce cholesterol, which will skew the results. Unlike other research where some participants may unknowingly receive a placebo, dietary pattern intervention can't be blinded. They might act on the fact they've made a dietary change. The bottom line is that the American public is better off ignoring much of the research and eating a sensible, varied diet where the calories eaten roughly equal the calories expended. John Ioannidis, a professor of medicine and epidemiology at Stanford University, is one of the harshest critics of nutrition research. He says the biggest problem is the reliance on observational studies in which patients report what they ate, and researchers try to correlate their diets to health issues. They just eat different things, and you try to link them with outcomes like heart attacks and cancers that are very different. Whenever randomized trials are performed on a diet, the desired effects usually disappear. There is no association, no effect. On top of these issues is that the research results are often presented in misleading ways to the public. A food with a statistically insignificant health advantage will be treated as a superfood. When it comes to the media, it's almost a lost cause at this point. The science is very bad in this case, and the media only makes them worse. As a result, almost all nutrition research should be ignored. For the average person who isn't sick, we just confer a lot of nonsense that isn't helpful, he says, adding that a lot of diets make a lot of strong claims that have almost nothing to support them. I eat what I feel like every day while trying to keep my body weight stable. On a recent morning, I ate a chocolate croissant, fruit, bread, and coffee. I also believe there are still broader takeaways from food research that are helpful. I personally eat real food, not too much, mostly plants. I have my favorite junk foods, but I limit consumption of them. We should all agree that the only dietary advice which is unchanging is eat a wide variety of real, not ultra-processed foods. Eat plenty of food and don't eat too much of anything. Balance calories. Nothing else matters nearly as much. Even meticulous randomized trials often don't find conclusive results in nutrition. The Fred Hutchinson Cancer Center studied 48,835 postmenopausal women in the 1990s and 2000s, looking for the effects of dietary change on breast cancer. 40% were assigned to a low-fat diet, and the others were asked to continue their usual diet. It found about an 8% lower incidence of breast cancer in subjects assigned to a low-fat diet, which wasn't quite statistically significant. The results were not as strong and significant as they hoped for breast cancer. Because so little is clear about food nutrition, people are able to make broad claims about different diets without being challenged. It's a great space for someone to write a book for the general public, making dietary recommendations, and make a lot of money. Because it's so hard to prove what they're writing is wrong.